A lot of times, and you have to understand where our parents are coming from too, but a lot of times your parents will be disappointed in your choice of lifestyle because they're jealous.
So I gave you a little brief teaser in my first video, but this is part two and it's going to be quite extensive. I'm responding to the whole damn thing. First things first, I really like Imani. Imani Talks is like very talented. I love the fervor with which she expresses herself and how direct she is in her expression and her vocalization of how she sees things, her perspective on life, and the validation of her own choices. I respect that.
They're jealous of your lifestyle. Parents that maybe had kids young, parents that maybe got married young, didn't get to experience our lifestyle. You know, our generation, millennial and Gen Z, I don't fucking know. We are child free, living life, traveling. If we don't like a job, we're leaving that job. If we don't like the city we living in, we're leaving that city.
When I was a little girl, we lived in this beautiful neighborhood, and that neighborhood is crazy money now. It's a multi-million-dollar neighborhood, but it still has the same charm, crazy enough. Anyway, down the street from where I grew up, there were a white couple, and they were hippies and they were painters. We called them Old Ma and Old Pa. Still call them that to this day. Anyway, Old Ma and Old Pa would leave every winter. They'd go to Jamaica and they would paint all of the locals. They teach the children how to paint and introduce, art to the children. And they would literally be gone the whole winter. Like they'd leave in November and then come back around March or April. And so when I was 6 years old, I remember, I had just had that conversation with old Ma a couple of days prior. And so I made up my mind about what I was going to do when I was an adult. And I remember with determination marching myself from my bedroom, which is in the back of the house, to the front of the house. And I told my mom, Mommy, when I get grown, I'm going to go live in the tropics too and not have to deal with the winter. And she laughed and called my aunt and told my aunt what I said. And, it was a big joke to them. But when I did it, they had so much to say, like how she just gonna up and leave the country, how she gonna live overseas. Like it was a lot of hoopla in the family from my mother and her sisters and my cousins about my choice. But I told these people what I was gonna do, but they didn't believe me because they couldn't fathom that for themselves.
Our parents didn't grow up with that mentality. Our parents were very much graduate, get a job, have some kids, stay in your hometown, and die.
She ain't told a word of a lie. I was raised, get a good job with good benefits, In my mind, I was like, yeah, but I don't have the mentality to take orders from somebody, especially when I know that they're wrong. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do wrong shit just because you're my boss. So I'm going to have my own business. And I knew that for myself quite young. Around the same age that I defiantly told my family I was going to live in the tropics, which I do. Take a look at me now, boo. Is when I decided I was going to have my own business. So, the choices that I made for myself, they could seem like I was going against my family. And in a sense, I was. Because I didn't want to toe the family line of expectation. I wanted to carve out a life that was my own, on my terms, with my own desires at the forefront. And I knew that very, very young. And I was so ambitious and so determined that there was nothing that could set me back from it. And I'm very happy for that because that little girl became the woman I am today.
And like I said, I'm not downing that way of life. I'm really not. But that's what they were taught, and that's not what we prescribe to anymore. So I have seen parents really kind of resent their kids living a life that they wish that they had. Yeah, I feel like when we go off and we do things that our parents wish they had the chance to do, it can lead to some jealousy.